Hey everyone, welcome to Live Trading Thursday. My name is David Verbruggen. I'm going to be your host today. I'm glad to be back with you. I missed last week. We had someone filling in for me. I was traveling last week, and so I could not be on as I was on the airplane. But glad to be back with you today. We got some good stuff we're going to look at, and maybe another turn in the market. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Actually, before that, let me go ahead and just mention to everyone that all these examples we're going to be looking at in this live trading session should be viewed for educational purposes only and not taken as trading or investment advice. Guys, you know how it goes. Go ahead and get your tickers in, your questions, any historical trades that you might want to look at, current trades that you are in, or trades that you might be considering entering. So go ahead and get those in the comment box. Both Facebook and YouTube should have those for you. These go quickly. We're only on for about 15 minutes each time. So get them in soon. That way we can go ahead and look at them all. Let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. All right, you guys should be looking at the overall market right here. Lots of good stuff been happening. Obviously, we were on this bullish run right here. We met up with resistance, fell down, moved back up, hit resistance a second time, and failed at resistance a second time and moved down since then. Let me redraw this uptrending support line. This line, it makes sense. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches there. But, as we have more information that comes in, sometimes we just got to redraw the line. So I wonder, maybe this line makes more sense now. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches there as well. And I think it just looks a little cleaner with how that pattern's developing right now. So that's a interesting day today, right? We look at this. Okay, wow, there's a whole lot going on. I'm getting excited right now, right? So we failed that resistance twice, and this right here, this pattern, that's an M pattern. Okay, and not only is it an M pattern, but it is failing below the support line right here. So it's moving down even further. On top of that, you've got this downtrending resistance line, uptrending support line. What does that form? That forms this pennant wedge, right? Which direction does a pennant wedge usually break out? It usually breaks out in the direction of market tone. So market tone has been negative as of late. Even the Fed report yesterday, the market was kind of all over the place, but ultimately closed down from the previous day. And now you can see a big move down. So we gapped down a little bit overnight, and today we are down, not quite 100 points, about 80 points so far. But there's still 3 hours left in the trading day. So a lot of things can happen here, but we're breaking out to the downside of this pennant wedge. We have this M that is forming. So wow, what does that mean for us? Well, I do not think that we are done with this bear market quite yet. We may come down a little more, and you may see a little pullback up towards this previous support line, and then it might use that as resistance and fall. We call that a kiss goodbye. So it comes back up, it kisses that line, and then goodbye, and it drops. So you may very well see that pattern develop over the next few days. And if that happens and we continue down, let's look at big picture here, right? High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. We might make another lower low. So we have potentially several hundred points of movement to the downside over the next several weeks, right? That might carry us through January. So I'm not telling you this is what is going to happen. I obviously don't know the future, but we look at patterns and probabilities, and we look at what is a potential outcome with a decent likelihood. And I think based off the pattern we are seeing, it is there's a decent probability that we may go below this low eventually in a few weeks here, about 3,500. So we may make a lower low, which would just kind of make sense with where we are in the overall market. So just want to bring that to everyone and show that, because that's some very interesting stuff with a lot of good learning opportunities going on there as well. So guys, you know how to, go ahead and get those in the comment box, all your tickers and trades that you want to look at. But we're going to go ahead and get started off right now with looking at some potential downtrending trades. So as we are moving down and there's potential of moving down even farther, let's take a look and see what is already kind of moving down and what we could take advantage of to the downside. So we've kind of done this method before. I'm going to go ahead and actually we're going to go to our scans. So the Find tab, scans. And my favorite one in here is honestly the Outlook, because you can choose by strategy, idea, feature. I like Outlook. There you got bullish, bearish, stagnant, volatile. If we're looking to the downside, we're going to go ahead and go with the bearish option, right? And then a chart pattern declining channel. That is just essentially a nice downtrending stock right there. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And then when we're in here, I want to go ahead and just turn these 18 tickers that popped up. I want to turn them into a watch list. To do that, I can go ahead and click this folder with the plus sign. That's manage selected symbols. And you click that, and you can go ahead and create a list name. We're going to call it downtrends, and we're going to create, oops. What am I doing? There's something I'm doing wrong here. Let's save. Let's see. Did that work? If it didn't do it, then we're gonna do one extra step. We're gonna come to the watch tab right here. All right, that didn't do it that time. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna create a new watch list. I'm all over the place today, guys. Hold on, what am I doing? Okay, this is a little embarrassing, guys. Here we go. This is what I wanted to do right here. Okay, now that we're back on the right track here, so you click the little symbol. There's a lot of symbols up there. You click the symbol next to the left one with the plus sign right there. So there we go. We're going to go ahead and add. I always like to add .spx in there, right? That's just kind of all the symbol of the watch list. They need a symbol to anchor to. I like to have the overall market in the watch list anyway. So here we go. .spx in my downtrends watch list. I'm going to create that. And now we have a downtrends watch list right there. We're going to go back to that same scan. Here's these 18 tickers we just talked about. Now I can click the arrow button, send symbols to selected watch list. Send them to, well, I guess I got to select them, right? You know, I guess I'm rusty, right? I missed you guys last week, and then here I am, rusty. Here we go. Now we're going to go ahead and select them and send them to the downtrends watch list. Added to watch list. Perfect. So we come in here and you can see all these guys, but I like to just go straight to the chart. And now I can click here and here they are, downtrends. Boom. Here's my 18. So now I can go ahead and just start looking through these guys, right? And seeing what all we can work with here. So Tesla is an interesting one, right? Because we don't usually see them as being in the downtrends folder, right? They're usually pretty hot and pretty bullish. But lately, they have been struggling a little bit as far as the stock price goes. So let's see if we can draw a line right here. That line's not great. Let's get rid of that one. Let's try it from up here. Sometimes it's a little bit of guess and check. That's going to be pretty close. You could probably work with that and get it even closer. But here we have, just a clear downtrend, right? Got a high, a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. That's about the same level high, but then made a lower low again. But it's at the bottom of the channel, right? So we would need this thing to move back up and then fail. So we're going to move on to the next one. Tesla is one, I'd leave it on the list. It's not like I'd get rid of it right now, but it is not ready to enter a bearish trade on. MDT. This one, let's go ahead and draw a line. This may not be a perfect line either. but you can still see the high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and so on and so forth. And it came right up to that 50-day EMA and then moved down from there. Earnings behind, so that's good. Same thing here, though. MDT has moved down several or a couple days already, and we would want to see this thing pull back up. You might see with a lot of these downtrending stocks that they have already moved down a couple days. Why? The overall market has. Let's take a look at the overall market, right? That we're down quite a bit from this ultimate high right here of about 4,100, and we're down, 200 plus points below that. So a lot of these guys may not be at the best entry point, right? So this is one, actually this one, I don't even like the pattern on this one. As far as downtrends go, this one seems to be almost a little bit more uptrending. You see that right there? So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off my list. That's okay. PXD. This one's kind of in a more of a rolling action. Also, maybe not the best pattern, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. DVN. This is interesting, right? The oil stocks, they've been pretty hot for most of the year. But when they start moving down, they can move down quickly. You see this going on back here. That was a massive move down for about a month. Pretty big drop off here as well. They reached that same high and has since moved down as well. Let's go ahead and see what kind of lines we can get on here. No, we're going to redraw that one. That's going to be a better downtrending resistance line. We're going to get rid of this guy. This one didn't work out too well. So this one right here, we're going to want to see that move back up as well to the resistance line. So far, we're kind of striking out on some of these, but that's just how it goes sometimes, right? We're not just looking for trades. We're looking for the best trades. You may get through your homework. You may get through everything you're looking at and find out that there's just not any good patterns out there. It might still be early too, right? There's a lot of trades that are still, or a lot of tickers that are showing bullish patterns right now. And that's because the market has been up quite a bit, right? It moved up for a couple months here. And now it's just starting to show signs that it might come on down. So, I pulled up a downtrending channel as far as the scan goes to look at. But you might be able to pull out the uptrending channel and look at some stocks where you might see that uptrend starting to fail. You might be able to go ahead and get into let's say you paper trade a position with an uptrend that is failing and get in on the early part of that move down. So that is something that could be looked at as well. Again, guys, if you have, I think I'm seeing all your comments that that are here. I haven't seen any potential trades that you guys want to look at yet or any tickers. So only got a few minutes left. Go ahead and get those in if you want to take a look at some of those. We'll just keep rolling here. This MTB, this is moving down, but it is moving down pretty quickly. So this right here, this is actually kind of an interesting pattern. You see this big move down and then it comes back up to an EMA and just shoots down. So this is one I want to leave on the list. This might be hard to draw a line on. I mean, we could draw the line, but look how steep that's going to be. Goodness gracious. What I would look for on this one really is, can it move back up to that 10 exponential moving average and then fall off of it again? If you can catch a move down off the 10, it could be an explosive move down. OVV. This one just kind of moving sideways as well, so we'd get rid of that one on the list. Here we go. This is probably the prettiest downtrend that we've seen on this list so far. The 50 EMA clearly acting as resistance there. That's 3 times at least. And guess what it's doing? It's pulling back up, right? It's getting close to that 50. Let's see if we can get a solid line on here. Yeah, that's looking nice. It may not even make it quite to the 50. It's up at that line pretty close there. Let's zoom in on this guy. This is my favorite one so far, guys. Sometimes it takes, 15 minutes or so, and then you're finally hopping on one that looks really nice. That's how it goes sometimes in trading. But this is moving right up. If this comes up to that line and starts to fail, that could be an entry for a bearish trade. If this moves back up to the 50 EMA, starts to fail, that could be an entry for a bearish trade. So there's some opportunity in here. Now the question is, well, what type of strategy would you use? A lot of times we like to do the put. Puts can be great because they can make a lot of money. They just can. But there's some cons to puts as well. And one of the things that I'm seeing here is that when it moves down, it doesn't move down that much. It's pretty gradual. I come back here. It's not like we're tanking like what was it, MTB? Yeah. I mean, if you caught a put right there, that would be fantastic. 2-3 days later, you're out with an excellent profit. This one's just kind of steady moving down. So I might go for a bear call on this one instead. That's something that I might consider instead of a put. Let's draw another line on here as I'm looking at this a little longer here. That line's pretty solid too. So there we go. So you've got this thing moving up, and it's right at this resistance, which was support, and now this resistance level coming right up there as well. So what kind of trade could we structure on here? I've said I think the bear call might be my favorite strategy for this particular stock. And we got earnings that is a little over a month out, so we could do a month-long bear call credit spread, and I would want to put my short strike just beyond the 50-day, because the 50-day was resistance a few times. So just beyond the 50-day would be great. So maybe if I can get, if they can, short strike at $73 for strike price. Let's take a look. January 20th, that will work. And $5 wides. That is always going to be a little bit tough. And you know what? Looking at this right here, the bid-ask spread, well, it's not terrible. Let's go look at the chart again. 70 is too tight. I have to do a 75 by 80. We'll have to see on that one. This is, you run into this as well, right? Where you get the it looks really good on the chart, but then when you get to the actual options chain, it's not that great. Yeah, and that's going to be a tough one. There's not going to be much money in there for this bear call credit spread. So it's too far out of the money that you're really, this is, of course, if you have a natural price, you can get in the spread and do a little bit better, but your potential ROI is not going to be very good. And if we drop that down to 70, 75, that's when your potential ROI is going to be really good, but your short strike's at 70. Look at how risky that would be. We'd be putting the short strike just $1 above the price right now. If you wanted to do that, maybe if there's a bigger drop, if you see it's clearly moving down again, you could take that trade 70 by 75 a month out, but you would want to have clear stop out rules. So it's just not one you want to mess with if it's that close to the trade right there. So, all right, let's take a look at Rob. I can't talk about the SPY right now. It's a good one to look at usually, but I may have a conflict of interest on that one. So that's why I can't talk about the SPY specifically. But I will say the SPY and .SPX, it's about the same chart pattern. So everything I mentioned on .SPX could apply to the SPY as well. Teresa, we'll look at NVIDIA and DocuSign, and then that'll kind of wrap us up here. So NVIDIA, let's take a look. This one is looking like a nice uptrend, even though, the overall market's kind of showing some signs of weakness. Ooh, that's a really nice one. There we go. Finally got a nice chart to put some good lines on. Look at that. Nice move up. It's been getting higher, and then it has pulled back. So what are we missing? We're just missing a nice bounce off of support there. The 20-day was support last time as well, so you might see this thing come down a little more and then potentially bounce. If you have a good bounce, that could be a good entry point. How high could it go, though? Let's see here. Looks like you've got some potential resistance in the 190, 195 range, but there's still plenty of room for that to move up, right? Even if it only reaches these previous highs, if it bounces and you get in at 173 and it continues and you get out at 185, whether that's a stock trade, step 2, step 3, step 4, that could work out well. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. I don't think it's ready yet. Again, you want to see that bounce, and you may not see that bounce. If the market really turns around, if the market does what it potentially could do, kiss goodbye, fall off, and start dropping pretty quickly, you may not see this one develop. This is why we wait for the bounce instead of buying right when it gets to the support line. So great one, Teresa. And DocuSign, let's take a look at DocuSign. Okay, this one's an interesting one here. It's almost a little harder to see the pattern. This thing has really dropped off quite a bit. Wow, look at that. That was a massive drop. I don't remember that for some reason. But this I feel like this is one that would be worth remembering earlier in the year. But downtrending quite a bit. Could this thing be turning around? You know, it maybe. Here's the interesting thing, right? Obviously, it's a downtrend, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low, all that good stuff, right? And then we kind of base here. This low is just slightly higher than the previous low. And now the high is higher than the previous high. So is this thing turning around? Potentially. Still got to wait and see. Still got to see what's going on here. It did make just barely a higher low, and this is definitely a higher high. If this makes a higher low again and starts to make higher highs, now you could be looking at a trend. But right now, we don't even have enough information to really even put a line there, right? I mean, I don't think it would. This thing isn't, it may not be done moving down. We want to see the bounce, that first bounce, because this line right here might just not, it might not be worth anything. So we want to go ahead and see where's that first bounce, and then we can put the line and then see if it bounces on that line again, confirming the trend. And at that point, you could be looking at taking some action there as well. Again, this could also just be dependent, though, on the overall market. If the overall market turns around, you might see this little rally here fail and move back down. But definitely one to keep an eye on. So I'm glad you brought that one up, because if it does start moving in that direction of an uptrend, you could be looking at some good stuff for a few in a few weeks. So thank you for bringing that one up. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the tickers for today. I want to give you guys a PDF. I put this one on a couple weeks ago, but it's a great one, and I want to give it to you again. 10 steps to choosing your first stock trade. I'm going to throw this up on here. There we go. Okay, that should be coming down in the comments for both Facebook and YouTube. 10 steps to choosing your first stock trade. I'm excited to share this one with you this week because, the next 2 weeks for most of us are probably going to be pretty slow. And it's going to be an excellent opportunity for you to dive in and hone your trading skills. I myself, I plan to do, some homework and some back testing on some strategies that I want to be using in the coming year. So go ahead and use that PDF that I just dropped there. It's just, you click that link and it'll bring you to the PDF. That way you can have that and start working on things so you're prepared to move forward for the next year. With that, this is going to be the last live trading Thursday for this year. We won't be on the next 2 Thursdays, so I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we're going to be back with you on January 5th, that Thursday, for Live Trading Thursday. Thank you, guys. Have a great Merry Christmas.